and all of a sudden their heart rate spikes up to 160 beats per minute.
Yeah, not the
They're
same
not.
thing.
It's not the same idea as them burning 100 or the 160 beats per minute as if they're running at near their maximum capacity. All right, here's one that's fun. All right,
Hmm.
now this is going to be kind of a wondering question for you.
Hmm.
Cardio machines, do they demonstrate calories burned at 100% accuracy?
Not even remotely close. There's no wearable, no machine like outside of you going and getting clinical testing done, and that's still got a pretty good variance to it. Absolutely not even close to an accurate prescription number, but it is a consistent number and something that, when applied to weight loss, can be a good tool. But
Yeah.
it says it burned 100 calories. No, take that with a grain of salt. So it has a use, but my God, is it inaccurate?
Yeah. All right. You ready to have your mind blown?
What do you got?
All right. You might want to take that salt off the table. So they found that cardio machines, after doing oxygen consumption mass training, this came from the Mayo clinical settings, is they had people go onto a treadmill and they actually measured with an oxygen mask, which there's going to be some relatable data between heart rate and changes of
Pretty
like
close.
how
Eh,
somebody breathes. They're pretty close. So the metrics, they're called metabolic equivalents, right? You ever use METS for training?
yeah.
All right. So for those who aren't really familiar on what a metabolic equivalent is, I want to get sure I have the right definition. METS meaning.
You're actually
So
the person
metabolic
that
equivalent.
taught me about it. That's remember we talked about it a couple months ago, talking about cycling training for METS. Never used it before that.
So
Cool.
METS can be used to access exercise capacity and help people determine physical activities for a safe area to participate. Basically, metabolic equivalence is something that you can translate. Like you can say, like, hey, I'm working at this volume on this device. If I were to go at the same type of pressure on this other device, you're roughly about the same level of work versus trying to figure out RPMs and watts and changing from a bike to a treadmill. So going off of METS, the one thing that they found actually is that the cardio devices do demonstrate up to 95 to 99.9% accuracy in
Really?
comparison with using the VO2 mask. But here's the big but. When you're on a cardio machine, you have to make sure you do one most important thing. When you go onto the device, assuming that the device has been maintained and that it's been properly calibrated, right? This also is up to the gym for being calibration and making sure that they've cleaned it and that's actually going at the speeds that they say. You have to enter your age, your weight to get the best accuracy. If you don't do that, the machines are just designed to just have a general number in there. So it might just say you're a 30-year-old person who weighs 190 pounds. Uh, and if it can, this is what if it can, a lot of devices didn't, they found, is enter your height. So if you can enter your age, your weight, and your height, and for a fourth metric, they said sex, but not a lot of them actually differentiate that. So if you can enter all four metrics, you can get to that close to 99% accuracy. As you drop off one of those, you slowly drop down. But if you just hop on a regular treadmill, I mean, you're shooting in the dark, right? That can be like 70% off. But if you go age, height, weight, and sex, and you're on a treadmill, that thing is calibrated then to that stance where if you're walking, let's say at 3% incline at 4 miles per hour, and it's saying you're burning X amount of calories, it's going off of actual data that's been inside of it to calculate the metabolic equivalence with how much you are burning. So that data is pretty damn accurate,
Oh, dude, that's cool. I like
right?
that a lot. I've always liked using calorie metric for prescribing the treadmill itself, because as you lose weight, so you get on there, you put your weight statistic like you're talking about, but as you lose weight, it requires longer periods of time on the treadmill to burn the same sum of calories. So 200
Mhm.
pound athlete doing the exact same speed, incline, everything, might take 30 minutes to do 200 calories on there, but a 190-pound athlete, that guy might take 34 minutes to do that same amount of calorie output. I've always done it that way just from a sheer aspect of, all right, I know this person because they weigh less, burns less calories doing cardiovascular activity. But
Right.
that's so cool. I
That's
like being
because
right even when I think I'm wrong. This is great.
That's because they've adapted, right? Their body can actually produce that much energy or force without having to utilize so much of the energy required to put it out. Like in simple terms, it's like having a more efficient car. Something that you're all driving on the same highway, but some cars get 50 miles to the gallon, some get 10. So it's just your different type of engines burn at different rates. You could be both going 60 miles per hour, but one engine is going to burn 10 miles in the gallon, one car is going to burn 50. So,
Kind of looked at it just from a sheer weight statistic. Like, all right, I know that a certain number of pounds on your frame from fat and muscle all require calories to sustain themselves, oxygen milliliters, right?
mhm.
But essentially, as you lose weight down from there, it's all right, I burn less calories from a sheer metabolic maintenance standpoint, but also, all right, I just quite frankly have less weight on me. I've shedded a 10-pound weight vest, so to speak, by losing 10 pounds. So
Mhm.
my body requires less energy to move the same distance as it did before when I had the quote unquote 10-pound weight vest on. But
Yeah.
that's so cool. I
Well, because it'd be the idea of pushing force is you're working against gravity. To take a step forward to do that, you have to push your foot off of the ground again. You're elevating your knee. You're taking weight from the ground and pushing it up. If you're to take 300 pounds and put it on top of your shoulders, it's going to take a lot of energy for your body to actually keep that upright stance. So you're burning a lot of static energy versus the idea of that motion being a lot simpler. So,
That's so cool.
sex, height, weight, and age. If you have the capability, stick that in each one of the devices that you hop on. A lot of them you can actually set up like the techno gyms. Like I have a profile on my phone where you can just do it with an easy scan code. So you can just scan that bar and it just sets up your profile. So that way you know when you look at the calories burnt on that device that is to a T almost.
Dude, those
You don't
techno
even need heart rate.
are awesome. I
I
love
would
those things.
I was so shocked that you didn't need heart rate to know that. But
I would have
when it
thought you would have.
No, you don't need it. Heart rate would just tell you like your working efficiency. So metabolic equivalents, you can kind of already kind of, guesstimate that, but I mean you're not really gonna be able to become more aerobically inclined by calculating your calories. You'd have to do a VO2 test and kind of get a little bit more in depth with how much oxygen is being consumed in the body versus how many calories you're average burning.
Dude, I always just in the back of my mind, I hadn't have anything really base this in.
Yeah.
I always believed that the heart rate, using the heart rate for output of calories was always a little bit of bullshit. Just from it never seemed to match up with the outcomes you were getting from it. Like the
Yeah.
idea of your heart rate being at 190 beats per minute, and like, oh my god, all this energy must be going out. Which yeah, all right, sure, but you're just moving faster, and that's the thing that's causing you to burn calories faster. It's just you're literally just going the same distance. You're going the same distance just at a quicker rate. It's not because your heart
Yeah.
rate's so high. Ah,
Yeah.
so cool.
Oh, we can go into like the idea of the muscular pump and like how much the blood is being circulated through the body. But I mean, think about somebody watching a scary movie and all of a sudden their heart rate spikes up to 160 beats per minute.
Yep, not the
They're
same
not.
thing.
It's not the same idea as them burning 100 or the 160 beats per minute as if they're running at near their maximum capacity. Obviously, one is going to be burning more energy than the other. So the heart rate, you can't really do the direct correlation with the metabolic burn. Not in those types of those two different stances.
Dude, there's a carryover for how that could help to again further disprove cold plunging. Because cold plunging, you get that adrenaline shock, the heart rate starts to really go up to try to keep your body warm, and it's
Hmm.
like, is there that same carryover with calories?
Is there? Is there? Is there not? Well, to warm your body up, you do have to burn a lot of calories to keep your body warm. So I mean,
It's not like a significant sum though.
It's not crazy. I mean, you probably burn the same amount having sex for 5 minutes. So
Go for a walk.